Greetings once again. Continuing with the Forbidden Lands dungeon crawl adventure creation. The last video I did, number 3, was literally randomly figuring out what was in this dungeon and why it was here and what caused it to be the way it was. So yeah, this is video number 4. It is a continuation of the hyperlapse, which I drew this out with absolutely no sound whatsoever, just using a phone and a pencil, some paper, and a pen. I got some cool markers for Christmas not too long ago from my daughter, and so I've had fun kind of going in and adding quite a bit of detail on this, and so yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. Anyway, so yeah, I'll recap a little bit of what was rolled randomly. Let's see, the history of the dungeon. We decided it was 800 years old. The purpose was a living area, which is kind of interesting, built by a bandit chief for vengeance reasons, and the builders still live here. And so I decided that the occupants, the builders, would be elves. There were also a couple of other occupants of this particular location, goblins, which I have basically decided I'm landing on that. They're going to be stuck up here in room 2, which kind of looks like a little prison cell area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms. It just kind of looks like a good spot for goblins. So the goblins will be in room 2. They're here, and then also a dragon is an occupant, and I decided that the dragon would be down here in room 10. Which obviously I kind of added just kind of a cliff's edge here. And so if you are running the game, you can put the dragon anywhere you want. And this just obviously, if you wanted to make it open and large tunnels down below, you could have another layer or level of dungeon for your players to mess with, where the dragon could also be. So, what else was rolled? The entrance to this place was down a hole, and so that's just kind of there. It is what it is. And then there was also a large water trap, which I decided was going to be in room 7, and I'll get to that in a little bit. And then oddities, I rolled some kind of altar. I think I decided that's going to be in room 10, and I've got some info on that here in a sec. And then the other oddity was random pools of water in various spots. And so I, again, went in with my fun new markers and used them. And so I just kind of added little spots here and there. This one is the only one that, has like a little waterfall running off of it. The rest of them are just kind of there, a cave, dungeon, atmosphere, wood. You're going to have some spots where it's just going to be wet and damp, and play with that however you want. You could even have streams running around through some of this, or coming off the walls, or out of the ceiling, or whatever. So yeah, that's what I rolled, and so I decided I wasn't sure were the goblins going to be, down here. Was the dragon here? Was the elves, this bandit chief, was it for vengeance against the dragon, or who? So I decided that the bandit chief, the elf male named Olian, has a handful of followers, and he, for a very long time, has held a grudge against his own people. He is not happy with elves for whatever reason. Fit that to your own story or your campaign, but I decided to go with he was upset about various choices that the elders or the older elves were making, and he wasn't happy with them, and he literally rebelled against them. And so he didn't build this for vengeance against a dragon. He built it for vengeance against his own kind. And I thought, well, that's kind of fun, kind of a crazy bandit chief styled elf named Olian. So let's see. He has fought over his long history. Because again, this place has been here for 800 years, and elves in the Forbidden Lands setting don't age at all, really. They could live however long. So he has rebelled and fought against and killed many elves. And he built this place as kind of a torture, spite, vengeance fits against other elves. And the altar that I've got placed down here in 10, I don't have it drawn in this room. I kind of pictured it back, in this area here, up along the wall. And it's kind of like a structure that has been created and added to over time. But the feature of it is all of the elves that he has murdered or killed or slaughtered over the centuries. He has basically taken their rubies and placed them in here kind of as trophies. Now there's some other things up here that I'll get to in a sec, but that's the vengeance part. And that makes this extremely valuable because elven rubies are priceless. They contain an elven life. In Forbidden Lands, you can change it to however you wanted, but make it another trophy room, so to speak, for Olean. But that's what's going to be this altar. And the dragon, whose name is... Where is it? Her name is Berhmu. 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 So yeah, she would be kind of like an ally of this crazy bandit chief, Olean. So Berhmu and Olean are together in this. And I kind of have her picked as an evil, scheming, cruel dragon, and she's found a way to manipulate and take advantage of these elves over the centuries and gain power in the process. And so there's in this card deck that I got last Christmas, as a matter of fact, there's one card in there about this one horse, and I thought I would use kind of an idea off of that. But basically, this horse has a shard of a ruby in the mare's chest that allows her to heal even severe injuries, and it was given to her by an ent. So the shard lets the ent, Dalner, know where the horse is and if it is in danger. So I kind of like that idea from this card. Heliend, however you say that. The horse. So the horse has kind of an idea that gave me an idea for Berhmu and Olean. Olean, the elf bandit chief, gave a shard or a sliver of his ruby to the dragon, and she has taken it and now has it within her. So they're kind of connected in some way, which is kind of weird and outside the norm. But what kind of powers would they benefit, one with the other? What kind of advantages would they gain? So that's the dragon and the bandit chief's connection. They are allies, and the dragon is out for herself completely and utterly. And she's going to look for power however she can. This altar is a nice little, setup down here in room 10 where she would be. So elven shards, crushed and damaged, make up part of this design. Gold and silver, ornately created up along this wall and maybe up to the ceiling. I mean, you could have this really high arching ceiling if you wanted. So anyway, that's kind of the thought. And so room to room, basically you've got an entrance and guard area here in room 1. I rolled for random loot that the elven guards or the soldiers might have. For those stats in Forbidden Lands, I basically used Unruly or the Red Runner elves. They're just kind of their NPC stats. I think they're on pages 54 or 56. And then I rolled for, what they might be carrying or wearing. And you can have this kind of as a living space fortress / down a hole, carved out ancient ruin or dungeon or stronghold, if you will, for these elves. And then they live in different spots. But room 1 would be their main area where they come and go. Room 2 is here. This is the prisoner quarters. I had 6 goblins currently being held. Recently, they came across the dungeon and were treasure seeking and got caught. And to be determined what the elves want to do with them. So they're stuck up here in room 2. 3, A, and B. I've got, these are basically storage rooms. Decent equipment. I mean, the elves use equipment from here regularly, so it's not going to be just trash. It's for survival or raids or protection within this stronghold. Also, the Goblin prisoners' equipment is stored in here, and the keys to any of the cells would also be in 3A or 3B. And I also rolled for some random stuff. There was a bronze statue, and it's very heavy. So the characters would have a hard time getting that out. But hey, and also a decorative hammer worth 16 silver was dumped in there as just part of random loot. So let's look at 4, which is for A, B, and C. These are this is a workshop area. I kind of have this set up as a place where a smith would be. And this is also a section where shattered pieces of elven rubies might be found. There are elven rubies on display, specific enemies of Oleon, and 2 rubies are embedded in the forge or around the forge, and they get to witness. Basically, Oleon stuck those here so that those elven rubies could always be in the presence of other elven rubies being destroyed. So maybe they were enemies of Oleon, and he really wanted to set up a torturous event for them to have to just suffer. So there would be 2 complete rubies here that if the player characters were able to free or obtain, there's that. And so there might be, there's going to be some guards in here or in these areas, also a few workers in here that they'd have to deal with. And again, the dungeons I draw are abstract. So coming from room 1 to room 2 is, pretty simple. It's just a doorway there. But if you wanted to have this a long hallway down to a deep dungeon, you could. It doesn't have to be just right off of it. So how close is 4A to 1? Well, it might be literally through this doorway here, or it might be way down a hall that they have to traverse and get to. So if you have combat here and it's far away, you don't have to worry about extra people come running in to aid their comrades in combat. But anyway, all abstract, just kind of get you an idea. 5, right here, this is a living area that I've got. Room for about 6 to live here. Upstairs area around this corner and up would be 3, and downstairs for 3. And also the pools of water, the randomly determined pools of water, kind of work for, you can clean things here. You don't just live in a cave without some kind of way to wash or clean or have fresh water, that kind of thing. So that's here. 6A and B are also, this is common areas in A, and B would be similar to room 5, so living. So these are all going to be living areas here, at least that's what I have. But B would be for just 1 person. This is going to be the second in command. And I had him pegged as some kind of sorcerer. And I've got him named, let's see, Myrkur, Myrkurr, a sorcerer of renowned abilities. I have him being in 6B. So he's got this bigger area by himself, really close to a common area where people may come and hang out. Let's see, 7 this is Oleon's chamber. So he's close to his number 2 guy, Myrkur. This, in room 7, is where most of his prized elven rubies are kept. They could be each in isolated sections of specially prepared stone, and I kind of had it where it would prevent the elven rubies from communicating with each other, so they're kind of isolated. However, that works in this world. None of the other elves, I have it to where none of the other elves, like his followers, none of them get to come into this room unless they're summoned. And this is the room where the water trap would be. I randomly rolled that, and so I figured, well, let's put it in here. And I figure if Oleon, he seems kind of crazy. At least he's pretty, I don't know. He has some crazy tendencies, that's for sure, as he's killing his own kind. and he has for centuries. But I suppose the water trap could be here, where it might come out of the ceiling above these little sections of the water pools, and it could totally flood this room. He would escape down this way and potentially connect up with the dragon if ever needed. So set that water trap up as you desire. I hadn't specifically decided. Literally, my notes say water trap is in here somewhere. So play that by ear. I used the stats for a red runner for Olean, but I improved him just a little bit, so he's kind of a tougher fight if they're able to fight him alone, which would be probably not very likely. He's going to have at least his number 2 guy, or maybe they're together. That's up to you how you'd like to play it. 8. Let's go back up top. The stairwell leading down from room 1 to 8. This is a massive, big area. This is kind of a training / meeting, multi-function area. Food, hot springs might be back in here, which would allow for a place where people might need to be or like to be. High ceiling in the center of room 8 with fire pits around here as needed. And armor and weapons and different training materials, maybe chairs and stuff set up for people to. This is kind of a common area that you can get to it from a couple of different places. And then 9 would be like the kitchen, food and storage. So maybe 9 has some vents that run up, so you can cook. You'd need vents for the forge too, but the same type of concept for 9. Yeah, and then 10. So yeah, 8, 8A, and 8B. That's all kind of one big section. So let's go back down here to 10. This is the dragon's lair, Berhmu. She usually stays down below in the deep, and she's, she's evil and scheming and very cruel. And she's, truth be known, I have her kind of taking advantage of these elves. She's just using them for her own gain, and she thinks it's sporting to collect as many elven rubies as possible. So you play her how you would like, but she can make this area big so she can fly and stay out of their range and make it a difficult battle if they choose to take on Berhmu just toe-to-toe. Or, she's evil and scheming. Maybe she sees the player characters as somebody else that they could take advantage of. She could take advantage of some other time. So the altar, I've got it kind of over here in this section, not drawn obviously, but I just place it over there. And that's where many of the broken shards, destroyed portions of the elven rubies are, as well as some that might be even, intact or whole or undamaged. They could just be here and stuck. But yeah, that's the big treasure at the end. Whether the treasure is you recover these rubies and then return them, or recover these rubies and do what you want with them, depending on the inclination of your characters. So yeah, that's my setup. I named this the Dungeon of the Forsaken Elves. I kind of like the weird Bandit Chief bend with Olean, and then from the Forbidden Lands card deck set with the horse Helind, that idea of the dragon and the bandit chief kind of connecting and being allies in a kind of a weird fashion. So yeah, lots of possibilities here with this one. But yeah, this was a fun one to do. Enjoyed coming up with it randomly. My next efforts will probably be continuing art and maybe go through another dungeon like this and just see how it goes. So if you enjoy this, I hope that you do enjoy this. And if you jump on it and play the game with your group, whether it's Forbidden Lands, which is a fantastic game and a fantastic setting, let me know about it. I'd like to hear it. Just type something down in the little comment section. I have no idea what I'm doing on YouTube, but hey, it's fun. And anyway, so yeah, have fun with this one.